In this video, we take a look at Kaitlyn Chen announcing her commitment to UConn. Is this a big move or just simply an insurance policy? We will take a deep dive on that. Before we start, if you like the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Now, I would love to have UConn fans' take on Kaitlyn Chen going to UConn. Are you excited by this, or is it just sort of like a, I'm not real sure. I don't really understand it. I've had a few comments saying I don't get it because UConn is so guard heavy already. This move has been telegraphed for quite a while. There were hints that UConn was interested, and Gino said it would be nice in February on his radio show if they could find a point guard to replace Nika Mule. But again, I still really don't understand this because last year, obviously, UConn played the four-guard lineup out of necessity because they had no front court players. And essentially, that required Paige Bueckers to play power forward on the defensive end. And I just thought this year, they obviously have more talented big players coming in with Sarah Strong. Hopefully Ice Brady develops and El Alfie as well. So I just don't understand why you would want another point guard. I understand insurance is good. It's always good to have insurance, and this is great for UConn because Kaitlyn Chen will fit UConn's system. Her coach at Princeton, Carla Berube, obviously ex-UConn player or former UConn player, has vouched for her. So they're keen on her because they know that she will fit in and fit to their system of what they want to do. But I just don't envision UConn using a four-guard lineup next season and Paige Bueckers playing defense at the power forward position. So in theory, you will have three guards playing. One of those will be Paige Bueckers, and then who will be playing guard at the other two positions? Will it be KK and Ashlyn Shade? Will they retain their spots from last year? But then where does AZ Fudd fit in as she gets healthy and her minutes build throughout the year, you would think? In addition, if Ducharme winds up being healthy, that's just a heck of a lot of guards and small forwards, as well as Aubrey Griffin coming back. Not to mention that Cadence Samuel showed flashes last year. What if she has a really good offseason and is developing? That's my question of who's going to lose out on the minutes next year when they come back if everybody is healthy. And commenters will probably come at me and say, hey, that hasn't happened and it's great to have insurance. And I agree with that. If I'm UConn or a UConn fan, this makes me sleep easy at night. If we have a guard go down, then we have another player to slot in. And in recent times, that would be a good thing, no doubt. But if I'm like one of the guards, I'd be like, oh man, where am I going to get my minutes? And I understand you come to UConn to compete. You have to compete for your minutes. So if you're part of the coaching staff, you're loving this and saying, yeah, you want to get on the court, you need to earn it. We have the competition here. Everybody's going to do their job, and the best players will play. So it's a home run for UConn and for their fans, no doubt. And who doesn't sleep easier when they know their insurance has been paid? Well, sometimes the insurance company's dodgy out of it. They find a way to wriggle out of it. Let's say, who doesn't sleep easier when they have roadside assistance? So if your car breaks down, you know that you're covered. It makes you sleep easier. You just know you have that backup. And that is ultimately a good thing for UConn. But obviously, I think the big excitement for UConn and what it's going to come down to is what Reagan Beers does, as that's more crucial to their season next year than a backup point guard, at least at this time, because they have El Alfie at center and then nothing behind her besides Patterson, who has struggled with injuries and hasn't really done much over her previous 2 years at UConn. They've got Sarah Strong, Ice Brady, and that is it. So if they wind up having a whole bunch of injuries up front, that could be catastrophic for them. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I do believe the vibe from UConn fans will be, yeah, Kaitlyn Chen is nice, that's in our back pocket, but all of the fans are really hanging out to see what Reagan Beers is going to do in the next few days. Is it going to be Oklahoma? Will it be UConn? Or could there be a surprise team like Texas come out of the blue and get her to commit to their school? As I mentioned earlier, there were all sorts of rumblings about Chen coming to UConn, but man, in my mind, I always thought that she would wind up going to one of the West Coast schools because she's originally from California And I just thought the fits were better at those schools, as USC needs a point guard. They would benefit from an experienced point guard. If it was me, if I had my choice between Talia von Oelhoffen and Kaitlyn Chen, I would be taking Kaitlyn Chen for that team just because she shoots so well. In addition, UCLA that's just signed Charlize Ledger-Walker, I would think that Kaitlyn Chen would be a better fit for UCLA. I don't know if Kaitlyn Chen just had no interest in those schools or if it was like her lifelong dream to go and play at UConn. Maybe it was. I am not sure. But in terms of getting playing time and fit for a team that really needs her game, I thought UCLA would have been the perfect fit for her, as her outside shot would have helped give Lauren Betts more space, as she shoots over 30% from the three-point line versus Ledger-Walker that's under 30% last season. So again, for UConn, I think this is a great deal, as I think they got the best point guard in the transfer portal, as I would take Chen over Haley Van Lith and Ledger-Walker. In addition, because Ledger-Walker's coming off her ACL injury, so it's unclear when will she be cleared to play, because her injury was late January, so she might not be playing for UCLA until February potentially, and that just could mess up their team chemistry. And I recognize as well, it's all good for me to tell Kaitlyn Chen, hey, I don't understand why you're doing this. Well, I could have had this same video a couple of years ago for Lou Lopez Seneschal. Why are you coming to UConn? They're stacked. They've got Paige Beckers. They've got AZ, Fudd, they have everybody. You're not going to get any playing time. You just go to a school where you can play and look what happens. So you just never know, especially with UConn. Hopefully the injuries are a thing of the past and somebody's going to be grumpy about losing out on minutes. That would be the UConn fan hope, but you just never know. So I do understand it, but really their portal will be made if they can get the signing of Reagan Beers, because that is really where their biggest need is. If they could shore up the post and have backup for El Alfie, that would be their dream scenario. But really, in my mind, if I was a UConn fan, my dream scenario would be a 2-for-1 special, if you like. A Reagan Beers and Tamia Gardner coming across to UConn. I would much rather that than Kaitlyn Chen, in my opinion. I know it would never happen, and it's sort of like fantasy league baseball. It's all well and good to plug players in. But I do think Tamia Gardner would work quite well in UConn's system, as she has an inside-outside game. But I know it's not going to happen. Would you want Tamia Gardner as a consolation prize if you're not able to get Beers? I'm curious what UConn fans feel about that. And ultimately, if you had your choice, would you have preferred Gardner and Beers versus Kaitlyn Chen and Beers? I mean, if you get Kaitlyn Chen and Beers, that's a home run. Happy days. But I'm just wondering what UConn feels if they're like me and just wondering, do we really need this extra guard with the backcourt we have? Anyway, your thoughts, your poison, all comments are welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.